Hello, welcome to RC Video Reviews. Today we're taking a look at the Radiomaster R168 receiver. Before I get into the content, I do need to let you know this video is sponsored by Radiomaster. I'd like to say thanks to Radiomaster for sending this receiver for review. If you'd like to score one for yourself, I'll have an affiliate link in the description. Let's get started. There are three things I'd like to cover today on this little receiver. First, I'll show you how to bind it. Then I'm going to show you how to calibrate the flight pack voltage telemetry data. And finally, we'll take some measurements and weights. Before I bind the receiver, I'd like to show you one of the cool mechanical features, and that's that they've got a bind button right here on the top, and you don't need any kind of tool to activate it. You don't need a little jeweler's screwdriver, you don't need a paper clip, you just press the button. Here, I'll put it next to my mic so you can hear it. How cool is that? I'll tip my hat to Radiomaster on that one. I'm really grateful that they included a bind button that doesn't require any special acts to activate it. Real easy to get to it. Okay, to enter bind mode, all you have to do is press and hold the bind button while you connect power. I've got an M8S that I'm using for power. I'm going to make the connection while I hold the bind button. And when you do that, you'll notice that there is a green and red solid LED. Both LEDs are solid, green on the top and red there on the bottom. On your radio, select the FreeSky D16 protocol, move down to bind, click the button. Select whatever option works best for you. I want telemetry on, so I'll just use channels 1 through 8, telemetry on. I'll click go, and you can see right away that red light starts blinking. Pretty much instantly. Okay, with that done, I'm going to go ahead and connect it on the S-Bus port so you guys can get a look at the S-Bus output just to show that we've got a good bind. So I've connected to S-Bus, and I'll show you how to do that later too, by the way. And I'll select measure on my M8S, and then I'll select S-Bus, and there you can see movement on the radio, so I've got an effective bind. Okay, that completes the bind process. The next thing I'll show you how to do is calibrate your battery so you can get accurate flight pack voltage via telemetry. With your receiver bound and powered up, you want to navigate over to your telemetry screen on the radio, and then just scroll down to Discover New Sensors. Click the jog dial, and you should immediately see the telemetry sensors populated. Notice I've got RxBAT, TRSS, TQLY, and RSSI. I'll hit Stop Discovery now, and the next thing I'm going to do is use the power supply function on my M8S to feed flight pack voltage to the receiver. Hey, if you like the work I do here on RC Video Reviews, please consider joining me on Patreon. For about the price of a cup of coffee, you can help me keep making videos just like this one. If you'd like to help out, there's a link in the description and on your screen. In order to complete the wiring to pull flight pack voltage, notice right here on the top there's a label that says VBAT. So all you have to do is take the positive lead from your flight pack and connect it to that pin. From the edge of the receiver, you'll see a row of 8 pins across the top, and those are right here. I've got my M8S connected to the S-Bus output, and the very next lead right there is the battery lead. So all you do is take the positive lead from your flight pack and connect it to that 4th pin. Remember, the range on this is only up to 18 volts, so don't go any higher than 18 volts. I've got my M8S set up in power supply mode, and I've got an XT60 lead connected with a pin right here for positive. And I'm going to go ahead and connect that to the receiver on that pin that I showed you. Okay, here's a close-up again. This connection is for my S-Bus output, and that is the power lead from the battery. Okay, over on the radio, I'm going to select the RX battery sensor, long press it, and click Edit. And then I want to point out right here up on the top on the radio, there's a voltage readout. We're going to use that to calibrate. I've already done a calibration on my M8S, so I know the output voltage is pretty accurate. I've tested it with my Fluke multimeter, and the output voltage does come out accurate. I've got 13.5 volts set as the output voltage. I'm going to leave it set for 4 amps, and I'm going to hit start. And you can see right here on the radio, it immediately jumped up to 9.8 volts. So I've got 13.5 going in, but I'm only registering 9.7 on the sensor. So the next thing to do is go down to the ratio, click on that, and just scroll until the voltage on the top bar measures the voltage on your power supply. So if you're doing this with an actual LiPo battery directly, you can use a multimeter or a LiPo voltage sensor that you trust. So I'm going to keep spinning until I get to 13.5. And you do see a little fluctuation, but that looks pretty stable right there. So I'm going to leave it on 18.4. Now I'll hit stop on my power supply and watch the voltage drop off here on the top bar. So I've stopped the voltage, and you can see the voltage decreasing down through 12, 11, and it's dropping off. The next thing I'll do, just to kind of bracket this a little bit, is I'll change the voltage to something else. So I'll just pick something like a 3-cell battery. So let's do 12.2 volts. And I'll hit start. And I'm looking for 12.2 volts on the sensor. And maybe a little bit high. There's some fluctuation. Okay, we are fluctuating between 12.1 and 12.3, so I can live with that. I'm going to go ahead and stop this and then check one more voltage. I will do 11.3. And I'll hit start. There we go. We're hovering around 11.3, so that's it. 18.4 is the ratio I'll use on my setup. Okay, we've covered how to bind the radio. I've showed you how to calibrate your flight pack voltage so you get a correct telemetry readout. The last thing I want to do is go through some specs and measures. Regarding the key specs of this receiver, it supports 16 channels, 8 if you use PWM, 16 if you use S-Bus. It's got a frequency range of 2400 to 2483 megahertz. That's 2.4 gigahertz. It has a power supply range input of 4.5 to 8.4 volts, and it uses the FreeSky D16 V1 protocol. Output formats include PWM and S-Bus, and regarding fail-safe, it supports custom, hold, and no pulses. I've got the scale zeroed out. Let's drop the receiver on there and see how much it weighs. The book says 10 grams, I'm seeing 11, so close enough. Now as far as the measurements go, it is 25.5 millimeters wide, 37.5 millimeters long, and at its tallest it looks like about 16 millimeters, and then on the shorter part of the deck it is 11 millimeters. Radiomaster advertises this as a 16-channel receiver, but in PWM mode it's only 8, so see pins 1 through 8 for PWM output. If you want to use all 16 channels, you can connect an S-Bus connector to these 3 pins. The 4th pin is for the battery voltage, the next pin is RSSI, and the last 3 are for FreeSky S-Port. As far as use cases go on this receiver, the R168 would be good for park fly because it's got 8 channels of PWM. It'd be good on anything that requires S-Bus input like a flight computer, so think iNav or Copilot. And the other thing that's cool is it gives you the basic telemetry items you need. What I really like is the flight voltage. I think that's spectacular. It's very good to be able to get flight voltage because when you have that, you can act on it. You can set alarms up in your special functions and logical switches to say, hey, when my flight pack voltage gets below a certain, 11.5, let's land the plane. Then you're less reliant on things like a timer and more dependent on the actual condition of the battery. And the big bonus on this receiver is Radiomaster's putting it on the market for $12. How do you beat that? So the next thing I'll do is put it on a plane and fly it around for a while, and I'll come back and give you a flight report and let you know. Whatever plane I wind up putting it in, I'll let you know how it performs. Alright, that's all I've got on the R168. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Don't forget to check my affiliate links if you'd like to get an R168 for yourself. That's all I've got for today. Take it easy.